Hi, and welcome to this week's solo episode of the Guest List podcast with me, your host, Steve Guest. And again, I get through the days and the weeks, and when I come to the solo podcasts, I'm always sat here thinking, what do we talk about this week? What subject should we focus on? And I'm going to pick a conversation I had this week, and it basically went along the lines of, Steve, I'm really struggling at the moment. I've lost my motivation. I've had a really good year. I've worked really hard, but the last few weeks I'm really struggling to pick up the phone. I'm really struggling to find that momentum that pushes me to go out there and achieve what I want to achieve. I said, okay. I said, so let's take it back a few levels. What is it that you're looking to achieve from what you're doing? And the answer was something along the lines of, well, I want to be successful. I want to grow a successful business. I want to place lots of people, earn lots of money, and go and enjoy the finer things in life, which is all great. And I'm sure we all have those visions, those dreams, and those sorts of thoughts. However, do we often challenge them enough to actually get specifics? And that was my next question to this person. So that's all fine and well, but what do you really want to get from this? What is it that drives you every day? What motivates you to come into work and give your 100% effort every single day? And the answer was, Steve, you've put me on the spot here. Let me have a think. And I stopped them and said, look, basically what we need to do is take it right back, because if you're sat in front of someone and you can't say with complete clarity what it is you're doing everything for, what it is that drives you to be the best that you can be, if you're struggling to say why you're doing it, then you haven't spent enough time just understanding what it is you're looking to achieve. And we went into a whole session then in terms of how we go about planning, how we go about making sure that our motivation is always there. Now, everybody reacts and works differently. Everyone is motivated by different things and different ways of working. I'm a very planned, processed person. So I like to have my goals, plans and targets set out, which is ready for that following year. So I know we've discussed this in previous podcasts, but every year during Christmas and New Year, I like to start to gather my ideas, goals, targets and thoughts. And I generally split them across areas such as health. How am I going to be healthier next year? What am I going to do to achieve that? It could be simple things like I'm not very good at having breakfast in the morning. I always seem to skip breakfast. So how am I going to put things in place to make sure that I always have breakfast? Am I doing enough exercise? Am I going to the gym? Am I doing all the elements that keep me healthy? Am I eating the right foods? Then I'll look at work and business. So what's the plans for the businesses? What am I looking to achieve? Where do I want them to go? What's the impact and what's the general goals and overview for the companies and the individual parts of the businesses and the staff involved? What am I looking to actually achieve and gain through work for the next 12 months? From a financial perspective, am I putting and investing in the right areas? Am I doing everything that I need to do to achieve my 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 12-month plan? Family, are we doing everything as a family? Are we going on the nice holidays? Are we going and doing the camping trips? Are we having the day out in London? All these nice things that you do as a family that for me, I want to kind of make sure are in the plan and in the thought process as we go into a new year, because you want to make sure you have that balance across everything that you do. And then I've called another area life. It's not really life, I suppose. It's extracurricular activities. So this year I've spoken a fair bit about learning Spanish and becoming fluent in another language. It might simply be just taking up an extra hobby or doing something that you want to do that isn't necessarily connected with anything else that you do on a daily basis. So you work through these, and as you start to work through them, it will always start off as a vague idea or a vague notion, something that you want that's quite high level. It might be buying your first house. It might be getting married and saving up for the wedding. It might be increasing your savings or opening an ISA account or starting a pension or investing in the pension, whatever it might be. It's about having an idea and then looking at the specifics. So understanding how you ask the right question. So how am I going to achieve a 300K billing year? How am I going to be able to recruit an extra member of staff? How am I going to get my savings up to a certain point in 12 months? What do I need to do to get there, and how am I going to do it? And then you start looking at specifics and breaking it down. So you can start to put things in place that allow you to achieve that goal. If we purely talk about financial element. So let's say we want to, I don't know, save 120 grand for ease in terms of numbers. So we have to save 10 grand a month as we go through the year. If you know it's 10 grand a month, you might be able to break that down into what have you got to do per week to be able to achieve 10 grand in a month. And then you break it down into smaller sections. If you do that with everything, and all of the goals become what we call SMART goals. Some of you will know what SMART goals are, some may not. SMART is where you have a specific goal that is measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and it's time measured. If you have all of these elements, you can start to work towards something that might feel quite big, but actually broken down into its smaller parts becomes a lot more achievable. And there is a point to explaining all of this because it takes us back to that very first question. I like to have lots of goals, lots of KPIs, lots of targets, lots of things that ensure that I continue to move forward. And I suppose the initial idea or the concept of making sure I'm always moving forward has really come from reading lots of books. I read lots of motivational books from very successful people, very wealthy people. And they all talk about writing down goals, making sure they're specific, making sure that every day you're making a movement towards them. Some days will be small, some days will be big. It's about that continual effort to constantly achieve and constantly move forward. If it's a SMART goal, if it's written down, if it's measurable, if it's realistic, if it's motivating, and there's a constant reminder to say, go and make that happen. For me, that's where the motivation comes from. So there's a saying, if it matters to you, you will find a way. If it's big enough, if it's motivational in terms of the impact it has on you, if it really challenges you to say, I'm going to make this happen because I want to buy that villa in Spain, I want to buy that huge house in the country, and you've worked out what you've got to do to achieve it. For me, there's no better motivation than coming into the office on a cold, dark, wet, miserable Monday morning. Everything's gone wrong on your journey into work, and you've got here and you've got a plan set out to achieve what you're looking to achieve. And that's where I've sent this person away to go and do some soul searching and some perhaps spend an afternoon, maybe even a day, and really think about what they're looking to achieve from everything they do, from personal life to work life to finance to family and everything in between. The best and the ideal is to start to think about a 10-year plan, then make that into a 5-year plan, reduce it to a 3-year plan, and then build that into a 12-month plan. And for me, I like to then take the 12-month plan into a month, a week, and a day plan, because it means you're effectively headed towards what you want to achieve, but it's smaller chunks that you can get through on any given hour, minute, or day. There's some great books that have helped me along the way. Things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, the book Money by Tony Robbins, Unshakable by Tony Robbins, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. They're all great books, and they all talk about building wealth and being motivated, managing your time properly, moving liabilities into the assets column so that you're always progressing. And for me, that gives me great motivation. It means that I will pick up the phone to make that phone call, even when perhaps my heart's not in it for the day, but my head tells me I have to do it. So it keeps me motivated. It means there's no arguments, there's no discussions. I've just got to get things done. And that is when people say, Steve, I don't know how you get everything done. How do you fit everything in? It's because everything's planned. Everything is set in place. And they're all headed towards a bigger goal or a bigger achievement, or at least pushing me forward in terms of the overall plan. I jotted down some notes before this podcast. And I just wanted to share perhaps the benefits of putting these thoughts into place and having a plan and working out how you're going to go and achieve that or work towards them. The benefits of having that in place: it increases motivation. It enables you to manage your time better because you know what you need to be doing at any given point. It obviously helps personal growth because you're consistently looking for opportunities and ways to advance. It gives you self-appreciation. You start to really appreciate everything that you do and the fact that you're headed in a direction. Massively helps because the road ahead is clearly mapped out for you to follow. It helps in self-awareness. It helps improve your mood. It helps improve your energy because at the very least, if you're working on your health goals, you will come into the office feeling healthy and energized, having eaten the right food or been to the gym. Positivity naturally follows all of this because you're positively motivated to go out and achieve. You're consistently looking for value. You are prioritizing where you need to spend your time to achieve your goals. It provides you great clarity. If you have clarity, things become so much simpler and so much easier. And therefore, you remove that procrastination and the thought process that you're doing things that aren't moving you forward. And ultimately, it gives you greater drive because you've got something to achieve. And it's not a wishy-washy idea of, I want to be successful, I want to be rich, I want to be the best or top billing consultant or top performing business person. They're all great, but they're ideas, they're not specifics. Something else, an exercise that I did that I found really useful, I did this a couple of years ago. It was where you start thinking about the goals and targets that you want to achieve, but you actually switch your goals to perhaps the people that achieving these goals will impact. So how can I improve the lives of my partners, my kids, my parents, if I hit my target to make X amount per month? If we talk recruitment specifics, when I have set up a successful recruitment business successfully, how many lives will that impact in a positive way? Start to really think about the advantages and the benefits and the people that you impact by achieving what you set out to achieve. The alternate part to that, once you've done that exercise, I think when I did the exercise, I had to come up with 100 reasons or 100 examples of what being successful would look like and how that would impact the people around me. Once you've done that, you then go back and add in the pain. So what would happen if I chose not to do this? What would happen if I chose not to go out of my comfort zone and achieve these goals and targets? What would happen if I passed up the opportunity to use my time properly and achieve what I set out to achieve? And what would happen if my money situation, if my financial situation, everything I'm doing now was exactly the same in 5 or 10 years' time? What would the impact be for the people around me if I don't move forward over the next 12 months, 5 years, 10 years? What it does is it just starts to really, I suppose, highlight the need to stay motivated, but also the need to make sure that every day is useful and you're spending your time wisely. So I just wanted to share that. It was a really good conversation that we had. And I think quite often we lose sight of where we're headed because we get so wrapped up in the day-to-day needs, the day-to-day hitting of the KPIs and hitting various targets and trying to get through the day having been as busy as possible. But quite often when we're doing that, we're potentially working to someone else's agenda and not our own. So we've got to start thinking about what it is we're looking to do. What are we looking to achieve? What is it that's really going to motivate us to pick up that phone on the cold mornings on a Monday morning and actually deliver and go and make things happen? I hope that solo podcast has been useful and you've got some value from it. I'd really love to hear from you and understand perhaps what your motivations are. Are you struggling with motivation? Is this an exercise that you feel would add value and you perhaps need some help or support? Please get in touch. I'm always available via messages or emails. So I look forward to hearing from you and I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Take care.